Welcome to another episode of Altitude K9 Perspectives. I'm honored to have these two distinguished gentlemen with me on the show. We have none other than Richard
Dickerson.
Richard Dickey Woods. And he has been around for a long time, has had several heavyweights. We came up together in the ranks back in the day. I don't know how you got older than me, and we started off at the same age.
That's because you had to start over again.
But anyway, and then we have my brother here, Malachi Williams. And tell us the name of your podcast.
Yeah, this is Coach Malachi Williams. The name of the podcast is True Media Boxing Radio. We go live every day, man, at 3 o'clock East Coast time out of Florida. So we love boxing. That's all we talk about.
And you went live today, and thank you so much for being at this facility. He's from Florida, and he dropped in. We met in Florida at Pro Box, and I invited him out, and he surprised me and came on out. So good to have you here. We just want to take a few minutes and just talk a little bit of boxing. And let me just start with you, Dick. Tell us about your experience, your history in boxing.
We started, as you know, back in the 70s. Promise and I did, back when we were just young pups and stuff. We had the same trainer, Preacher Lewis. Probably the best foundation we could have had is boxing. Took me through all the New York boxing when I was up there, through all the Air Force and inter-service boxing and national tournaments and so on like that, and give me the basic foundation to start training fighters. And I started with the amateurs, and in 92, excuse me, I had like Stevie Johnson, Teron Millette, and all these guys as amateurs. And we went to the Pan American Games, won a gold medal there, and then won numerous national championships. And then Shane Swartz, Buddy McGirt, Michael Wilson. I had 11 world champions, and which included Buddy McGirt, Oleg Moskev.
You brought Klitschko out one time?
Jermaine Taylor. No, that was Moskev.
I thought you
Oleg Moskev. No, we went to their camp.
Okay.
We went and trained with Klitschko's when Emmanuel was training them in Pennsylvania and LA both, and Fritz and Emmanuel were training them, and so we were like one of the main stays in their camps because Emmanuel and I were great friends and stuff. And like I said, I had Jermaine Taylor and some of the other guys. I had numerous world champions. Chico Corrales, one of my.
The list
I had
goes
him
on
from
and
the
on and on. I mean,
15-year-old,
you've been around. You've been around.
So yeah, I've been around. There's a song there.
Let me shift real quick, just because of time, and just tell me about your history. How'd you get into boxing? Were you a previous boxer, former boxer?
Yes, sir. Actually, I started boxing when I was 14 in 1988. I have an uncle by the name of, they called him Detective Tommy Ellis out of Tampa, and he trained me at 14. Boxing wasn't for me. I got boxing on and off for like 5 years. They had, I want to say 1988 or 89. I don't know if you remember this. They had the Golden Glove tournament in Miami. Mm-hmm. If you go back and look, they had it back then. I got beat up in sparring real bad, like in 93. And I was like, I'm done with boxing. I was finished. But we boxing the amateurs. There was a lot of good fighters there. Winky Wright was probably just moved from D.C. around that time. A lot of people think Winky Wright is from Florida, but he's really originally from D.C. Mm-hmm. He moved from D.C. to Florida. Mm-hmm. He was boxing in St. Petersburg, if I'm not mistaken. Don King had a gym in the Tampa Bay area called King Kong's boxing gym. Years later, now I'm doing a podcast. I never would have thought I'd be doing it.
And how did you get into doing podcasts?
Actually, it was a fluke. So I've been talking about boxing for years. My favorite fighters is Sugar Ray Robinson. I love Hagler. Very, very passionate about it. Salvador Sanchez. My uncle used to watch things from Nicolino Loche, Willie Pell back in the day, and I just started a boxing podcast during COVID. Mm-hmm. I had no idea that it was going to be as successful as it is now. It was just something I was going to do as a hobby, but I had no idea I was going to be doing it as much as I'm doing now. I didn't know it was going to take off.
It's a great podcast. I love listening to you. It's a little bit different from some of the other podcasts because you do your homework, and some people are just on there just jaw jacking. So I appreciate that. You got some history. I like watching you. I like listening to Bernie the Boxer. So you guys really have it going on. So I want to jump right in real quick. And so we're old school. You seem to be a little old school. Here's a quiz for you. What is the least used piece of equipment in a boxing gym nowadays?
Intelligence. No, I'm kidding.
Intelligence.
I'm kidding. There's a lot of them.
There's a $5 prize for
The
getting the answer
least
right.
used probably speed bag.
Ding, correct.
I was gonna, I think I was gonna say the speed bag, but he beat me to it.
Right.
I know for me, it's a lot. Like, I think if you're an old school trainer, I want to flip it a little bit. I think a lot of these kids now, they caught up on the hand mix, looking real pretty, and they watching how the way Floyd.
I agree.
And Roger used to work the hand mix and stuff like that. And I was talking to Buddy McGirt. I interviewed Buddy McGirt one time, and he don't mind me sharing the story because he did it.
He was one of my fighters. I can share stories about him.
Buddy McGirt say that he had a kid that wanted him to train him. He said, "Look, can you train me? Can you do the hand mitts like how Floyd and Roger do?"
Oh, geez.
And then Buddy say, "Can you fight like Floyd?"
That's Buddy.
Can you fight like Floyd? He's like, "Look, man, no one is doing all of that. What you see them doing on the hand mitts, they're not doing that in the ring."
Nobody does that.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it was hilarious. Me, him, and Steve.
And why do you think the speed bag is the least used? I agree
Because
with
you see nobody using it anymore. Because, like you said, they're more focused on the mitts and the shadow boxing and stuff like that. But if you remember, Fred never had us hit the speed bag. He said it's just good for the arm reach, but we can use other things to get our arms built up and everything, because you never hit a guy like this.
Right.
He said he wants you to have proper hand positioning, proper movement with your hands when you have them in position. And the speed bag is, he said, just not that important. So I never used it.
But I think it is important because it's eye-hand coordination, it's timing, and there's more ways to use the speed bag than the old traditional way. Every time I've hit the speed bag, I haven't done like that, but I've actually, just like throwing a regular jab and straight right. But the timing, and you can also use it kind of like they use the other bags now too.
Well, you know what I like? Instead of the speed bag is the double end bag. You got a good double end bag, pop, pop, pop. And then,
Right.
it's hand-eye coordination, it's speed, it's timing, you move and everything else. So it has a lot more intangibles for you to learn from.
Yeah, I agree.
But it doesn't hurt to have the speed bag as far as the workout's concerned too.
Right.
But you rarely see people use it anymore.
Yeah. I mean, here at this gym, all the time, only time I hear the speed bag is if I'm doing it early in the morning. All throughout the day, I never hear anybody on this speed bag.
Nope.
So double end bag, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about what's hot. What's the hottest boxer on the scene right now?